130 million years ago, the fossil record was silent. Then, in a geological instant, flowers exploded onto the scene and conquered 90% of Earth's ecosystems in just 30 million years. Even Charles Darwin called their rise an abominable mystery, because nothing like this had ever happened before. What triggered this blitz of floral dominance? Was it a single evolutionary leap, a secret hidden in ancient rock, or something stranger? This is the real story behind how flowers conquered Earth in 30 million years, and what scientists finally uncovered could change how you see the natural world and yourself forever. Charles Darwin sat at his desk in 1879, pen in hand, and wrote to his friend Joseph Hooker about a puzzle that kept him up at night. He called it an abominable mystery, the sudden, almost theatrical entrance of flowering plants in the fossil record. For over 300 million years, Earth's landscapes were ruled by ferns, conifers, and cycads. Then, around 130 million years ago, flowers appeared out of nowhere. Not a slow build-up, not a gentle transition, just a sharp line in the rocks. One moment, no flowers. The next, ancient sediments are packed with their pollen and petals. Darwin's theory of gradual evolution didn't have an answer. Where were the missing links? Why did these newcomers spread so quickly, taking over 90% of plant ecosystems in just 30 million years? Even with his notebooks filled with sketches and hypotheses, Darwin admitted he was stumped. He wondered if the ancestors of flowers had simply evolved in places where fossils couldn't form, or if something about their biology let them explode onto the scene. The fossil record, up to that point, offered only silence before this botanical blitz. For Darwin and every scientist since, the question stayed the same. How did flowers pull off the fastest takeover in the history of life on Earth? In 1998, a team of paleobotanists digging in the muddy sediments of China's Yixian Formation uncovered something that would upend the search for the earliest flowers. The fossil they pulled from the rock was delicate, almost ghostly, thin stems, slender leaves, and, at the very top, a string of tiny reproductive organs. But it was the details that mattered. This specimen, named Archifructus liaoningensis, Archifructus liaoningensis, was different from anything found before. It had seeds enclosed in a structure that looked suspiciously like a primitive flower. No petals, no showy colours, but the essential parts were there. Else Marie Fries, a Swedish paleobotanist, recognized the significance right away. She and her colleagues pored over the fossil in the lab, comparing its features to both modern and ancient plants. The age of the rock, about 130 million years old, matched the mysterious gap Darwin worried about. For the first time, there was physical proof. Flowering plants had left their mark much earlier than anyone dared hope. The discovery didn't just fill a blank in the fossil record, it forced scientists to rethink what an early flower could look like and where to look for the next clues. Suddenly, the silence in the rocks had a voice. The real game-changer in the flower story sits right at the center: the carpel. William Friedman, a Harvard botanist who spends his days dissecting the inner workings of seeds, describes the carpel as the ultimate vault, an ovary that completely encloses the ovules. This is not just botanical trivia. Before flowers, plants like conifers and cycads left their seeds exposed to the world. A pine cone, for example, just holds its seeds out in the open, making them easy targets for hungry animals, fungi, or even a sudden drought. But with the carpel, flowering plants locked their future inside a protective case. Now the developing seeds could avoid drying out, escape infection, and survive long enough to mature. That tiny bit of extra shelter meant more seeds survived, more offspring took root, and more species could spread into new environments. Friedman's research shows that this simple innovation, wrapping the next generation in a living safe, offered flowers a reproductive advantage no gymnosperm could match. The carpel didn't just protect, it set the stage for endless experiments in fruit shapes, dispersal methods, and eventually, the wild diversity that would follow. The secret weapon wasn't showy petals or sweet nectar. It was this hidden structure quietly rewriting the rules of plant survival. Amber from the Cretaceous era holds a secret. Tiny insects frozen in time, their bodies dusted with pollen that's unmistakably from flowering plants. Some of these fossils, like a beetle named Angiosperms burmetina, date back 99 million years. Under a microscope, you can spot trichopate pollen grains stuck to its hairs, the same type found in modern eudicots. The beetle's curved body and pollen-feeding mouthparts aren't just random quirks. They're tools for flower visiting, built by millions of years of evolutionary pressure. Spanish amber, a little older, contains thrips with hundreds of pollen grains packed onto their bodies. These insects weren't just bystanders, they were active couriers, shuttling pollen from flower to flower long before bees ever showed up. Alfred Russel Wallace, who worked out the theory of natural selection alongside Darwin, saw this partnership as a kind of evolutionary arms race. In his books, he described how flowers and insects shape each other, each new adaptation. Brighter petals, longer tongues, pushing the other side to innovate. Flowers started making nectar, a sugary bribe, and insects responded with specialized bodies and behaviors. The result? A burst of new forms and species on both sides, each locked in a dance of mutual benefit and one-upmanship. Fossil pollen grains found on these ancient insects are more than just a curiosity. They're proof that coevolution wasn't just a modern idea. It was happening in the Cretaceous, driving the rapid rise and wild diversification of flowers. This mutualistic arms race, described by Wallace and confirmed by amber fossils, gave flowering plants a ticket to global dominance. Every petal, scent, and drop of nectar is a relic from that ancient contest, still playing out in gardens and meadows today. Kevin Simonin, a plant physiologist at San Francisco State, spends his days peering into the microscopic plumbing of leaves. What he and his colleagues uncovered is deceptively simple. Flowers rewired the way plants move water. If you look at a gymnosperm leaf under a microscope, a pine or a cycadee, the veins are sparse, like a city with only a handful of highways. But flowering plants, their leaves are crisscrossed by a dense network of veins, sometimes packing more than 10 times the number found in their ancient rivals. This isn't just a botanical quirk. More veins mean water can race through the leaf, fueling photosynthesis at breakneck speed. The result is a plant that can grow faster, recover from drought, and outcompete anything standing in its way. Simonin's research points to a hidden revolution: genome downsizing. By shrinking their DNA, flowering plants made their cells smaller. Smaller cells mean you can pack more veins and more stomata, the tiny pores that let in carbon dioxide, into each square millimeter of leaf. This turbocharged the entire process of turning sunlight into sugar. By 100 million years ago, this hydraulic advantage let flowers sweep across the landscape, from steamy riverbanks to sun-baked uplands, leaving gymnosperms and ferns in the dust. Fast forward to the last 10,000 years. Humans stumble onto wild grasses, wheat, rice, barley, all flowering plants with the same dense veined leaves and rapid growth cycles. Ancient farmers start saving seeds, planting fields and building granaries. These crops feed villages, then cities, then entire civilizations. Every loaf of bread, every bowl of rice, every ear of corn traces back to the physiological edge that flowers built into their leaves. The conquest that began in the Cretaceous ends up shaping the fate of humanity. What started as a tweak in leaf anatomy becomes the foundation for everything from the hanging gardens of Babylon to the supermarket down the street. In just 30 million years, flowering plants rose from a minor lineage to dominate 90% of Earth's ecosystems, a fact first revealed by fossils like Archaefructus, unearthed in China in 1998. Scientific evidence confirms that innovations such as the carpel, co-evolution with insects seen in Cretaceous amber, and advanced leaf venation enabled this rapid spread. Yet the exact triggers behind their sudden appearance 130 million years ago, as Darwin called his abominable mystery, remain unresolved, with fossil gaps and molecular clock debates persisting. What is clear is that flowering plants transformed ancient landscapes, set the stage for complex animal life, and, just 10,000 years ago, gave rise to agriculture, the foundation of all human civilization. As the fossil record continues to expand, each new discovery brings us closer to solving the mystery Darwin first posed, while reminding us that the roots of our world are firmly anchored in the evolution of flowers.